All right, all right. Good morning, trader. Thank you so much for tuning in to the morning brief. My name is Corey, and yeah, looking at the S&P futures here. Let's take a peek. Okay, so yesterday you can see that we sold off pretty substantially. We had a pretty long period of consolidation through the initial balance and everything like that. Which, oh, excuse me, I'm on the wrong chart. I'm on the Dow, not the ES. All right, this is the S&P. All right, so we had this long period of consolidation where we just ranged within the initial balance for hours, hours and hours. And then we finally ended up closing on a very nice spike to the downside. Because we closed on a spike, this move has not yet been confirmed. So basically, the opening will ultimately tell us whether or not this spike is confirmed, and whether or not the market will remain out of balance. So basically, the reason I say that is because in yesterday's profile, this is really value up here, right? We've got the point of control, which is basically, I mean, it's not a very prominent point of control, but more or less, it's like right in the, I can't even tell which one is the POC. It looks like this one probably right in the middle of the range. But like I said, this is the, for the regular trading hours yesterday, this was the best determination of what value is. And like I said, we broke downwards on a spike. And I mean, you could probably consider this activity in the overnight session a confirmation of the spike. Otherwise, you would have gotten a major reversal probably and then traded back into yesterday's value area. As long as we do not trade back above the initial balance low from yesterday's regular trading hours, I would imagine that the bias is still going to be to the downside. The fact that we're remaining in balance down here in the overnight session is a really good sign. And typically that's going to tell us that we're probably going to hold these levels, I would imagine. So as it stands today, normally because we're opening up in range, it favors a little bit more of a rotational day. However, I'm expecting, like, we may have a very rotational opening, but I am expecting this previous low of the day to be taken out at some point, and for us to be continuing lower. Also, which adds to that bias, is the fact that volume was greater yesterday than the day prior. So we have lower price overlapping and lower value and higher volume. So the fact that we're going down on a higher volume suggests that this is a stronger trend and that we should be seeing continuation. So clearly, lower prices are actually bringing in more activity, which is what we want to see in a healthy trend. We want to see it bringing in more activity, not less, as prices continue lower. Again, that's my bias for the day. A little bit of rotation on the opening here, and then expecting us to break through yesterday's low at some point. That being said, we do have a false breakout right here. You can see we tested just below yesterday's low. Same thing with the Dow here. On the Dow, we just barely broke below yesterday's low. We'll, like I said, we'll just have to see as the day progresses. But I am definitely bearish and looking for a break of that level. So. I haven't had the time to check out any equities yet this morning. I slept in a little bit longer than I usually do. So if anybody has any stocks they'd like me to check, or ideas of their own, by all means, please throw it in the chat and we'll check it out here together as a group. But otherwise, we'll just find some good setups together. So I called this trade out yesterday on Walmart. Actually, I called it out, I think, during the weekend wrap or something. To be honest, I can't remember when I called it out, but it was right before we broke this trend line. And I basically said that we have this low volume node right here. And I know I don't have a volume profile on this chart, but if I did, you would see something like, whoops, bear with me. The volume profile would look something like this. So we've got a high volume node where you've got all this consolidation, another high volume node where you have consolidation, another high volume node. But right here, since there wasn't very much trading that took place in this area, you're going to have a low volume node on the volume profile. And you want to think of low volume nodes as balloons. So the skin of a balloon is going to provide support and resistance, but once that balloon pops, price is going to tend to rush through really fast. So that's why I said basically if we break below this level, we're probably going to trade through this whole thing and then come down here into this area of balance. So that's seems to be playing out pretty nicely right now. So I think Walmart still has a little bit to go. It might come down here, test this. See when we've got another low volume node down here because there hasn't been much trading in this area. So this is going to provide support and resistance. So this might be a decent target level right here at 128 or so. So yeah, again, this is Walmart, ticker WMT. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here because I know it was in a symmetrical triangle, so it really could go either way. Okay, so it looks like it has started to put in a V bottom here. So you can see we made a 100% retracement right here, which is bullish. Funded account programs, I'm actually part of Top Step right now. Not like I work for them. We can talk about that more. Let me just wrap up Bitcoin here, and I'll address that question for you. And yeah, I mean it's certainly an interesting dynamic. Also, put in the chat what you trade. Like, do you trade futures or forex, or what product do you trade? Anyway, so we have this V bottom here. Like I said, this is bullish because now you have all these shorts that are trapped. So they're gonna start to get nervous, and clearly they liquidated because we started grinding up higher here. Let's switch to a higher time frame. This is a 15-minute. We're gonna go to an hourly here. Excuse me. Oh man. Oh God, still waking up. Okay, so we broke back above the 57,000 level, which is important. That was our pivot high, or our previous resistance that was broken when we broke out right here and then tested just below 62,000. So we broken back above that key resistance level, which is really good. So that means the market we're likely to continue higher. So hopefully we can use this 57,000 level as a base, and then the market is going to hold here, and we can continue to kind of grind up higher slowly until we can start making decent headway again. So Bitcoin right now, my bias is definitely bullish. The only exception would be if somebody were to come in and turn this into like a head and shoulders, and then if we came down here and retested this trend line, I would be starting to get pretty nervous. Give me 1 second just to run through the chat, make sure I didn't miss his response there. Nope. Yeah, Khalil. Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah. Futures is a different game, definitely. Although, I mean, if you've traded CFDs, clearly you're probably used to that kind of trading already to a degree. So yeah, I mean, I've been trading futures for a couple years now, and it is. I had no idea how much harder it was going to be than trading stocks, to be honest. I started with stocks and options, and I was pretty successful at it. And then I started with futures, and I really got my ass kicked. Um, in the first couple months that I switched from futures or from stocks over to futures, I probably gave up like 50% of my what I had made, trading stocks and options, over the past year and a half or so. So it's a different animal, just mainly because of the leverage. You've got an insane amount of leverage. So you really need to be right. And if you're not good with risk management, if you're prone to over trading, that kind of stuff, it is just way, way harder. And when it comes to Top Step, it's really going to put all that stuff to the test. So I would think that you would probably need to spend some time trading futures with like micros on your own for a while. Maybe spend like a year or so and try to like come up with a trading strategy, something that you can replicate that's consistent. Work on, and obviously any head games, trading psychology stuff that needs to get worked out. I, for instance, am a quintessential over trader. I see opportunities everywhere, which is not a good thing. When I'm right, when my when I'm right, I'm like really right, if that makes sense, and that usually outweighs my losses. But yeah, the market is the great equalizer, and no matter what your problem is, the markets are going to bring it out. And futures are the epitome of that because everything is so much more amplified because of that leverage. I'm not familiar with his stuff, but if you're trading with Footprint, that's a really 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 good place to start. So yeah, I think that's great. Okay, let's look at some more setups here. I want to see what Riot blockchain is doing here. So it looks like it tested above this trend line, and I had put this arrow in yesterday for my target, and it's because Bitcoin has started to base, meaning it's started to like find support. This thing did not reach my target, got about halfway there, and you can see it's turning up a little bit in pre-market. So this is actually a pretty decent setup right here. So I don't know if you guys can see that. That's where we're opening at in pre-market, where my marker ends right there. I'd be looking for a retest of this 67.54 level, and this thing is probably going to break through, I would imagine. Particularly because I think Bitcoin's position right now um, holds a good chance of trading higher, retesting its all-time high. So this is a good entry point on RIOT here. And to answer your question, using the dome, I trade ES with the dome. So for everybody that doesn't know, that's the ticker for the S&P futures. I will use the dome on the Nasdaq, but to be honest, it's not the same. You need a more liquid product, to be honest. When I'm trading the Nasdaq, I prefer to use Renko charts, rather than using the dome because it just, like I said, the dome is way too fast, and when you have the Nasdaq, which is, arguably the fastest index, it's you're gonna see a lot more probably on your charts than a more liquid product like the ES. The more liquid it is, excuse me, the more liquid it is, the more utility you're gonna get out of the dome. Um, if you guys don't know what the dome is the order book, where you can see all the standing orders that are kind of waiting to be filled. If you're trading on Robinhood, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'll pull one up here so you guys can see what it looks like. I usually use Jigsaw's dome, so that's why I don't have a dome pulled up here in NinjaTrader. But we're gonna switch this over to the S&P. So this is what the dome is, and you can just see the orders that are kind of waiting to be filled here on each side. So these are obviously buyers, these are sellers, and if you have something like Jigsaw, you can actually see the market orders that are being transacted. So the market orders are the more aggressive orders, as I'm sure you know. That's what he and I are talking about. But so this is the S&P dome right here, and you can see it's pretty slow. It's very manageable. Granted, this is still the overnight session, but if we switch to NQ or the Nasdaq, and this is still the overnight session, this is really nothing. But you can see how jumpy it is. It's it's a lot harder to track something like this and make sense of it and make good trading decisions off of it. So let me just scroll back to your question. Oh yeah, if you're trading something like ZB or ZN, any of the interest rate products, the dome is gonna give you way more utility, I would think, than charts would. So yeah, no, that's a really good observation, and that says a lot that you probably know what you're doing. The fact that you know that the bonds are so much more liquid like that. So but yeah, man, if you start trading futures, just know that, I mean, you're probably gonna have to like commit 2 years to it before you start really making any decent headway, because it is just a totally different animal. Unless, like I said, I've never traded CFDs, but it sounds like you know what you're doing. So okay, so I called out this short on GameStop yesterday, and it looks like it is. God, it's really just balancing. It didn't sell off like I was expecting it to. I was expecting a sharper break off of this trend line, but it's like I said, it's just mostly balancing right here. And albeit we're moving in my direction. Um, yeah, believe me, I've been there. That's why I know what I know now. So like I was saying with GameStop here, although we're trading in my direction, it's not coming down on very much volume. I mean, you can see the volume difference right here versus the volume differences back here. It's a night and day. So yeah, the momentum is just really weak. I don't necessarily think this is a great trade anymore. So if yesterday I think the entry point was good right at that trend line, but right now volume is just not very. It's not really transacting very well at these levels, and lower prices are actually cutting off activity, which means there's still some chance for the upside in this. So oil's been moving a lot lately. Ooh, this is a potential nice short setup here. So this is SOI, or Solaris Oilfield Industries. This is trading view right here, by the way, but I use NinjaTrader for trading futures. Okay, so again, this is SOI, and you can see that it's putting in a bit of a bear flag right here. Excuse me, bull flag. Let me clone this real fast. There we go. Beautiful. So bull flags historically, they are a continuation pattern. So normally you would get a spike up at some point, and it would do something like that, create a little chimney. That being said, though, this candle right here is pretty strong. I mean, yesterday, we sold off with quite a bit of strength. So, if this does break, that would be a phenomenal short, because we have this low volume node right in here, and that whole thing is likely to fill through, and then we're going to retest and probably trade somewhere landing in this area. So yeah, if this flag does break the other way, I think it'd be a phenomenal short. That being said, though, probabilities are not not in our favor. So what I would be doing is I would be putting in like a stop market order right there. So if the market comes down and trades at that level, it's going to fill me automatically, and then bam, I'm in, and I can get in a nice short like that. So I think that's a great technique for trading breakouts. So where you put a stop market order, um, you see it retracing. Yeah, I need to look at what CL is doing. Let's take a look at oil, because oil has sold off quite a bit lately. Yeah, look at what oil did yesterday, and that's probably why we got that spike there. SOI is a fracking company, so that's why it's linked to oil. Um, so let's see here. We've got, this is a ticker symbol CL, or the oil futures. And if you're the kind of person that likes to trade drip, or any of those leveraged oil stocks, this is really what you want to be watching. I think there's a whole lot of money to be made in trading the commodities, like the leveraged commodity ETFs, like gold, that JNUG, drip, that kind of stuff. And if you get good at understanding what is going on in the oil futures or the gold futures, anything like that, like I said, you can make a lot of money trading intraday on the leveraged ETF stocks. So, in any event, we, we were talking about whether or not we would see continuation on SOI there, and this is looking pretty bearish to me. You can see we made a 100% retracement right there, so we spiked up and we traded all the way back down, and now we have a bit of a weak low. So I am seeing continuation to the downside here, potentially. So yeah, I think that short on SOI, it might be decent. All right, let's take a peek back here at the S&P futures, because we only have 2 minutes till the open here. That's the Dow. All right, so here is the S&P. You can see we had a really big sell order come in here, 420 lots. That's a pretty good sized order for the S&P. And interestingly, though, look at what just happened. You can see we took out this previous low right here. We spiked below it, and then aggressive buyers came in right off the bat and drove this thing all the way back up. So this is where price is currently trading at. So again, we are probing below yesterday's low, but we're having a very, very hard time remaining below that level. So, we've got two different forces here. We've got everybody that bought in this area wants to defend their positions and get this thing to remain in balance. And then we have the people that sold in here yesterday that are wanting to see continuation to the downside. Wouldn't sell till it breaks and retest. Like I said, I'm more of an aggressive trader, so I don't always wait for the retest. It depends on the situation. But sometimes, if it's something like this where it's the low of the day, uh, I won't often wait for a retest, just because it drops way too strong on that initial drop once it takes out the prior day's low. So yeah, I mean, I think that's good. I have other tools that let me see absorption. I have a particular delta that I really like, that allows me to visualize, buying and selling pressure. Um, so yeah, I mean, I mean, ultimately you want to see really big volume coming in if you're looking for a breakout. So yeah, no, I agree, most definitely, and I'm really, really glad that you understand these terms. I mean, you're clearly the kind of person that this channel is catered to. For somebody that's just starting out in trading, a lot of my stuff is probably going to go over their heads, to be honest. Um, but like I said, you're using the footprint, which is phenomenal. And clearly you're ambitious. You're wanting to start trading futures and try to get funded, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that you've been able to absorb kind of what I've been laying down, because you're clearly the kind of person that's going to benefit from it the most. So all right, guys, the market is open now. Yeah, I'm just gonna hang out with you guys just for a minute here. We're gonna watch what happens. You can see the market is coming down here. We're probing right at yesterday's low. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. So we've got an inside bar right here on this 30-minute chart. And see if this thing breaks. I'm just gonna put a sell stop in. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure I'm on my right account. I'm not gonna take this on my live account. Just on sim. Okay, and we'll do something like that. There we go. So, I mean, if this low gets taken out, I'm just gonna pile on with the rest of the shorts and run with the herd. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad that it's that somebody's making use of it. All right, so clearly we couldn't find enough selling down here at the low, so looks like the market's probably going to retrace a bit, and then I would imagine the person that sold right here at 420 is going to defend their position. You can actually see it like touch that price right on the dot, and then you can see some volume starting to come in. Let me see here. I'm going to pull up a Renko chart for the ES. So maybe we can get a better visualization as per what's going on here in the price action. But right now, like I said, we're opening up within yesterday's range. Anytime you're opening up within the prior day's range, it's going to be a little bit choppy. If the market breaks outside the prior day's range, then the market is breaking out of balance, and therefore it has the potential to drop pretty hard. Yeah, typically anytime you're opening up in range, especially if you're opening up in the prior day's value area, you're likely to see chop. Oh, the numbers here, that's just a really big sell order. So it was 420 lots sold at this price. So like the size of the bubble tells you how big the order was, and then the numbers tell you how many contracts were bought or sold. And these are at the market, by the way. They're not limit orders, they're market orders. Ultimately, it's market orders that move prices. Limit orders don't move prices at all. They just absorb orders, because if you had if you have 100 orders sitting at $10, it's never going to tick up to $11 if nobody is crossing the bid-ask spread and buying at the ask. You have to buy at the ask to kind of take out that ceiling, so to speak. The orders that are trading at 11, so to speak, before the bid has a chance to tick up, any higher. So I don't know. It's easier with a visual, but all right. So it looks like we're getting more volume coming down here. We are right at yesterday's low, just barely exceeding it. I'm gonna put on a short, and hopefully we can get enough volume to see continuation. Okay, I am in short here. And I'm just going to do a conservative target for now. All right, so you can see once we broke below that pivot low, we're starting to, well, we were starting to get more volume coming in. That the people that bought in this area are clearly still defending. Um, and this is where like Khalil was talking about using a footprint or using the dome would really, really come in handy, because if that way I'd be able to see my orders right here, or excuse me, see what's going on in the order book right here, so I would know whether or not I should be closing this trade. I mean, it looks kind of like a false breakout to me. I mean, I'm about to get stopped out. Stop is hit. So we're not really getting a whole lot of selling interest below yesterday's low. So, I mean, sometimes it just needs a little while to grind down. That can definitely happen, and it can break later in the session. Or we may trap out all these shorts, and we may, retest the overnight high here. So we'll just have to see what happens. Oh, how many passive orders? I don't know right now. I mean, usually the dome has got around 150, 200 lots chilling in it all the time. I don't have my jigsaw. See, there it goes. I don't have my jigsaw up right now, so I can't see how many limit orders are in the book at the moment. But you can see, I mean, so like you were talking about that retest. Clearly, we retested, and the sellers came back in, and now we're, this is a clear break below yesterday's low. So the market has broken out of balance now. And what I mean by breaking out of balance, meaning it's broken outside the prior day's range. We use the prior day's range as a scale to measure changes in sentiment. And if we have broken outside of that scale entirely, then the market is breaking out of balance, and the range potential is, theoretically unlimited. So, okay. Sorry, I'm just getting my Renko chart up here so you guys can see. Got a little bit of stuff I gotta clean up real quick. Man, you can see how hard that thing is wicking. So, yeah, clearly these buyers they're not wanting to give up on this level. Okay, so we're gonna go, volume will be a 120. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so many different tools that you can use for that kind of stuff. Like it doesn't have to be in a footprint. I mean, I use Jigsaw, and Jigsaw lets you see the market orders as well. So I mean, I basically have a footprint when I use that dome. Um, and like I said, you can use Delta, you can use all sorts of stuff. Just getting this Renko squared away here real fast, and then we'll switch monitors. Okay, so let's take a look at the Renko chart here. So this is a 2-tick Renko, which is a really fast chart. And this is the kind of stuff that I will actually use to enter off of. And it's helpful for being able to see, this is when we broke, cleanly from the low there. And then once we start getting consolidation and that kind of stuff, that's typically my exit signal. And normally a healthy trend, you want to see nice, decent sized swings like that. And if you're getting these kind of choppy consolidation areas, then that's, it's just you've got some indecision in there. Yeah, right. So this is another way to view absorption when you have really tight consolidation like this. This is the delta that I was talking about that I use, and there are two different deltas that I will frequently use. Hang on, let me get the other one up and running here. Again, if you don't know what this platform is, it's NinjaTrader, and these are the S&P futures. So I'm gonna get my regular delta up, cumulative delta. So cumulative delta, basically it measures the difference in the number of market orders on the sell side versus the buy side. So and like I said, market orders are the orders that we want to be paying attention to. Well, we want to pay attention to all orders, to be honest, but especially market orders, because market orders are the ones that actually move prices. So this is just a regular delta right here, the difference in the number of buy market orders versus sell market orders. And then this one actually measures the amount of volume that is trading on the uptick versus the downtick. So you can see, like, we have these little divergences here where delta is moving up, but the other delta is moving down. So that is telling us that there is absorption there. So albeit the longs are being more aggressive, more volume is hitting in as we move to the downside. So that's, like I said, that's a clear sign of absorption. And this is where the longs started to try to push us back up, but like I said, we were continuing to grind lower. So this is, like I said, what I like to use when I'm actually engaging with the market and entering, because it helps me to see a lot better what's going on in the price action. So same thing if we look at the NQ. Let me zoom to the end here. So this is the NASDAQ, and you'll be able to see here when my computer stops lagging how much faster it is. This is an 8-tick Renko, by the way, versus a 2-tick. So the Renko blocks themselves are like 4 times bigger than the one on the S&P. Anyways, it's lagging a little bit here, so I'm not gonna spend much time. But anyways, I like using it a lot. And you can also see one thing I just wanted to show you. See the little green lines, how they vary in color, red versus green. So basically what that tells me, if it's a green line, that tells me that the volume on that swing exceeded the volume on the previous swing. So we had this downswing right here. And this green line tells me that the volume here exceeded the volume here. And that can be helpful information. Take right here, for instance, we had a stronger downswing, and then we exceeded that volume on the upswing. And then we had a weaker downswing. So that tells us basically that there's less volume coming in on the sell side, more volume coming in on the upswings on the buy side. So that kind of stuff can definitely be helpful. I have these dots here that also represent the bigger orders that are coming in. And then you can see it marks when I have lower highs versus lower lows, higher highs, that kind of stuff. So yeah, when I'm trading the NASDAQ, like I said, it's in you're trading really, really fast. That kind of stuff can be helpful. So anyways, guys, I'm going to take off here, I think. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I appreciate your engagement, Khalil, and I wish you the best with your futures journey. It's a hell of an endeavor, believe me. And getting funded by Top Step, just be prepared. I mean, unless you have insanely good risk management skills, I would not go into it expecting to pass it the first time. In fact, I wouldn't go into it expecting to pass it the first 2 times, 3 times. I reset personally a bunch of times before I finally got funded. and especially on step two. Step two is a lot harder because you have a $1,000 weekly drawdown, and when your stop losses are like $100 per trade, that means if you have, you know, uh, even if in a perfect scenario, if you take 10 consecutive losses, you're done. And Yeah, yeah. I mean, even kind of before that, because once you get down to like, 250 bucks till your max drawdown, you really don't have enough wiggle room to do what you want to do. So, anyways, I would just go into it expecting that it's gonna take you several times before you pass it, and even when you get funded, there's zero guarantee you can stay funded. Um, I got funded, and and then I lost my funding. 2 weeks later, because I was um, forcing trades and trading during periods where conviction was just low. So it's really 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 tough, believe me. But it can most definitely be done. But just expect that it's going to take quite a bit of time, quite a bit of money, and you're really going to have to work on yourself. If you're not self motivated and disciplined, you're never going to make it or sustain it, anyways. So, yeah, and I'm not familiar with One Up Trader. I've got a buddy that's the went with Lilu, and he seemed to like them pretty well. He thought it was easier to get funded, but they have more restrictive rules. Like you can't withdraw more than like $1,000 per month or something for your first like 3 months. I forget what the rules are, but anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Sincerely appreciate all the support that I've gotten from the community here. You guys are awesome. Again, thank you so much. Tune in for the weekend wrap. I will be posting it on YouTube on Sunday. I'm trying to get on at 8:30 every Sunday to record it live. So we will be. Oh, nice. That's awesome. One of my best friends is from Morocco. Again, the weekend wrap. I'll be posting it on YouTube Sunday at 8:30, and we'll be breaking down all the news, what to watch for the upcoming week. I'll give you guys some solid setups, and we'll talk about how the setups did from last week, and I'll tell you what my bias is for Monday. So. Again, that's on YouTube. Same username. Just search for the trade journals. The series is called The Weekend Wrap. Anyways, I am out of here, guys. Thank you so much again. Oh, and check out the awesome deck plate I got for my stream deck. Isn't that sick? Love that thing. All right. Cool, guys. Thanks again so much, and we will see you next time. Take care.